Well, I hope you guys stick around with me today because we're going to be canning some moose meat, making it so that you don't need refrigeration and it's always cooked. So if you're starving and you don't have time to do anything, you're going to be able to just pop away. So we're going to be canning some meat in this video. You know, this is really important to have meat on hand, and it's not always easy to cook every single meal that you have to, and especially if you're carnivore, you have to eat meat every meal. And so because of that, you may not have time, and you may want to have some stuff that is preserved, ready to click open a can and just take a fork in and dig. And that's what we're going to be doing. I have a ton of moose meat. I have a whole bunch. This is full right now. I have a whole bunch more that I'm going to be doing. And the reason why I'm doing a lot of my moose meat that was in the freezer is we've had some crazy weather here the last week, and our power keeps on going out. And it went out almost for the whole night. And a couple of years ago, we lost all of our freezer food. Because the power went out, or actually somebody accidentally unplugged it, and we didn't know for a couple of days because we didn't go into there. And I don't want to have this happen again, because it's just really been unstable lately, our power, to the point that there's been so much rain that our cistern where we hold our water for our fresh water it moved and gyrated the top of it and made it so that the rainwater could go in. So right now our cistern is full of mud, and we have a makeshift water system until all of this rain stops, because it's still going on today, and we can get in there with some machinery and fix our cistern. So that's kind of where we are right now. If it rains, it pours, and literally it has been pouring here. And because of that, why I still have electricity, I am going to can. This is my canner. It holds 7 large ones, and so we're going to fill these up today with moose meat. So what I'm doing right now is I'm actually just cutting them into portions about this size. You don't want to make them too small, because when you can them, it takes out a lot of the juices. So they actually reduce quite small to a small size. So you can put a whole roast in there. I have done that before, but I'm not going to do that this time. This time I am going to be cutting them up into portion sizes that you can eat. Sharpen your knives before you guys start, which is something I should have done before I did this, because it really is dull right now. So this is what we're going to be doing. So what I'm going to be using in mine, I'm just going to do a couple to give you an idea, and then I'm going to do the rest myself, is I'm going to be using onions in this. I have a number of different spices that I'm going to be using. This is my garlic. I get one of those big bags of garlic fresh from the store, and I peeled them all and minced them and then put them in my fridge. This one's probably about 6 months old, getting ready to buy another one. Won't be using that today, but I will be using garlic powder. And I have onions here, red onions. That's all I had, so it doesn't matter. Red onions are great. Of course, we're going to be using lots of salt, but it won't be just salt. And I will be putting in this Italian seasoning. It's my own herbs that I grow in my garden. I will use a little bit of savory and bay leaves. And this will be, and if you want to, you can put in pepper. You can put in actually anything you want. Sometimes I will make it really spicy. I'll add some spice to it. Sometimes I'll add some curry to it. It really is your taste. Now, if you're really sticking to the carnivore 100% or you're very sensitive, you can do this with salt, and that's it. You don't need anything more. None of this is going to preserve it. This is just for taste. What is going to preserve it is the cooking, and the salt is going to preserve it. And they're going to be, by the time you're going to be able to eat this years later if you want to, but it's not never ever going to last in my house that long. So what I'm going to be doing is literally just filling these up with, and believe me, all of this will be so tender and beautiful to pull out. Let's see, I've got some stuff. Take this. Just take this. And actually, one of these do hold quite a bit. That was 2 roasts that I was cooking in here, and I keep the fat on. I want to have all of that in there. All of that in there. We are not going to be, that's about all as far as I'm going to go. And then I'm going to put in some onion, literally. If you want to, if you can tolerate, you can put in celery, you can put in other, you can put in hot peppers if you want to. This is as much as I'm going to put in mine. Now, if you want to, you can top this off with water. You don't have to, because the meat will actually form its own juices, all of that, and so it'll be really good. But it will still be just as good if you want to top it off with some water. There is no problem in that. So we're ready for the water. And I actually did make a mistake because I added 2, 4, 6, 8, and my canner only holds 7, so unfortunately this is not a good thing. This isn't a good thing. So I don't know what I'll end up doing with that, but oh well. Sometimes that is just the way it is, that you end up overextending yourself. That one's not gonna fit there. Putting cold water in this now. Give me a second. I'm gonna have to cut this out. It's like the Gong Show. Like I said, you don't have to add water to your recipe, but I am going to. It's totally individual because there will be a lot. And I'm just going to add it right to the limit. You want to leave about an inch from the top. Which makes a beautiful broth. So if you want to make a soup out of this, this stuff will be perfect for adding a few more things if you want to make it into a soup. Oops, here we go. Or just adding some more water, because it will be very concentrated, very delicious by the time that this is done. So you can just add 1 whole container of water to it, and it will make a beautiful soup. Like my husband says, oh, is that a beautiful soup that you're making? Yes, it is a beautiful soup I'm making. So I don't know if you've got a canner, you will know all of these instructions. I won't have to tell you anything. If you've got a canner of your own, you'll know this, but I'm going to go through a bit of the canning instructions. Like I said, we have our cistern is out, so we get a bottle of water. I'm going to bottle water, and it is what it is. That's what happens when you get too much rain. Oh, that's my dog. I think I need to let him outside. My carnivore dog, who had diabetes when I first started this, and we were going to put him down. And now he is bugging me at the door, and that's 6 months later, 5 months later, and yeah, no putting him down. Hold on, right back. So there we go, and I have my lids in there. You don't have to, when you're doing this bath, have them totally boiled. But I am going to boil them. This is the first time, again, like I said. So I am going to, these are brand new lids, so Yeah, so I want to make sure that they get a little bit of that so that you don't have to worry about that. So what else am I doing is I'm gonna, let's see, can you guys see me? Okay, so I'm gonna be adding in the water in my pot, and I'm going to, I have these, you have to bring it over so you can see, but there's these dishes that are in here, and I'm not going to have the water over the dishes. It's going to be just under the dishes, these plates that sit in here. So it's about this much water because the plates sit about that far over. I have it. I have to dump it. Do a little bit more. What would you call it? I totally forgot the name of them. But the pressure cooker, it's a pressure cooker. So it's different than a canner where you're just going to boil it. And I use this thing, I can use this as a canner as well for fruits and other vegetables where you're going to just boil them for 20 minutes. That's not what we're doing here. These things are going to be in there, and we're going to actually do it for 90 minutes, which will be the time to kill anything that's in this food and properly preserve it. And I would recommend that you guys go through other places for instructions of how to use it for the pressure valve in your area, because it takes a certain amount. And this is the weight that I'm going to put on the lid. This one works for me. But these pressure cookers come with multiple different types of lids. So, you know, they come with different heavier lids. It depends on your altitude that you live in, what type of pressure that you need to put on this, because that's what you want to do. It's a pressure cooker, right? So I am also going to add a splash in here. And the reason why I do that in there, it stops your jars from getting all smoky looking and really quite gross. So it keeps your jars nice and beautiful and white. Okay. And then let's look at this. This is one of the most important parts of this is you have to make sure that there is nothing that is here. So you're going to look into this like that, and you're going to see, does it have, can I see completely clear? Because it's like a little peephole. And if there is anything obstructing that, make sure that you clean it out. A toothpick will work. Make sure you clean this whole thing. This rubber, check the rubber. Make sure there is nothing on it, because you know, canning can be dangerous. And my mother, with a pressure canner, had hers blow up a number of times, literally, in the kitchen, because she would go off and forget and start reading a book and that. And yeah, that is what happened to my mom years and years and years ago. So it really made me nervous about using any of these pressure cookers, because that could happen to my mom. So I really took... yeah, it happened like twice. She took out the roof one time in the kitchen. Had to have the whole roof redone, or the ceiling in the kitchen redone. But it made me really nervous, and so I really do take caution, and you should take caution, because that truly can happen. That you want to make sure that you have this thing sealed properly. So let's get the lids. I have to get the dog now. Okay, my lids are ready, and most of them I've got. The thing is, I'm just going to stick that so I don't have to touch it. And you actually just want to do it like that. You don't want to really, really put a lot of pressure on this. Just a hand tightening. There we go. As simple as that. I think this is a skill that we should all learn, because you never know. These are skills that I learned as a younger woman, and I hope that you younger women are learning these skills today, because they're really important, I think. The water that I put in here in the pot is cold as well, or just room temperature, just out of the tap, nothing more than that. And so now I'm just going to put in, because if you put in hot inside, if you put in hot in something that is cold, it ends up usually breaking. Same thing. So everything here is the same temperature. If only magically I could make this one fit, but unfortunately it's gonna have to go by itself. We're gonna let it go, and until we start hearing it make a bunch of noise. When it starts going sss, then I'm going to take my weight, which is the middle one, and I'm going to put it on at that, and we're going to start to time it from the time that it goes to that. We're going to wait for this button. It's the pressure valve. It's going to pop up. It's a red button here, and it's going to pop up, and then that's when we're going to start to time it. And we're going to time it at 90 minutes at that point. We're going to turn down it because we want to have a rock on this, and I'll show you as it goes along. So it will start to go, and we want to do that where it comes and goes, and does it about 4 or 5 times a minute, where it goes, and then it will settle down, it will release and settle down, and we'll do that. And we want to have that consistent for the time that we are doing this work. So it takes a little bit of adjustment, and we're evaluating the temperature as we go along, but it will be well worth it because you will love having this ready. It is so much better than having a canned, you just don't know what people are putting into. You don't know what the corporations are putting into our food. So yes, you can probably buy all of this, but this is stuff that we've got because it's moose meat. My husband got it for us. We actually did the whole thing. That was an ordeal. I wish I had that night filmed, but we don't. And so this is what we've got left of I probably got enough to do this amount more in my freezer, and I might do that tomorrow. But this is enough for today, but this is a wonderful thing, guys. You're going to really love doing this. If you haven't started doing canning on your own, for doing your own preserving of your food, you're really missing out on flavor that is so much better. Because normally I do, and I will still be doing, I do my own pickles and salsa. I do a lot of the tomatoes in like I'll do Italian seasoning in it, like a spaghetti sauce kind of stuff, but ones that are universal, so you can use it for everything. But the taste is just incredible. Like, it's all fresh from the garden. It's all organic, and I'm controlling everything. I'm controlling everything that I'm putting into the food that I feed myself and I feed my family. Not all of my family are carnivores, so you're wondering why I'm going to still do this, because I still have a family. And I'm going to make sure that what they eat is going to be the most, the best quality. It's not going to be just something that I pick up. But if you do your own salsa and that stuff, I promise you, taste the store and then taste that. You're going to see, I give them as gifts, actually, too. I do salsa and I give them as gifts for Christmas time, and people just, they're disappointed if I haven't made them a basket of this stuff. It's time consuming, but it's all made with love. And I think that's another thing, is when you're making food, you're making it with love. There's an intention behind it. And I believe that since we are energy and we put our energy and our love in it, that's what comes out of this. It comes out. So yes, I will show you the next phase once it starts to boil. Totally. Oh, we're starting to get the sound on it now. Let's see. Not yet. Almost. You can hear it. It's starting to boil. Can you hear it? Okay, it is ready to put this on. There we go. So we'll wait for it to start vibrating. It'll only be a couple minutes. There we go. If you can see the red button that popped up. And now we're going to start it at 90 minutes, and that thing will start jiggling right away here. there they are.